On April 1, 2022, a British F-35B stealth fighter crashed while on a training mission over the eastern Mediterranean, resulting in the loss of the aircraft and the tragic death of the pilot. The incident caused a stir in the military community, as the F-35B is one of the most advanced and expensive military aircraft in the world. The cause of the crash remains a mystery, with the investigative team conducting extensive analysis of data collected from the wreckage. However, recently emerging information has shed new light on the possible causes of the crash, raising questions about the safety and reliability of this advanced military aircraft. According to anonymous sources close to the investigation, the crash may have been caused by a malfunction in the plane's fuel system. The F-35B uses a complex system of pumps and valves to transfer fuel between the internal fuel tanks and the outer auxiliary fuel tanks, which can be disposed of in flight if needed. It is believed that one of these components failed during training, resulting in a loss of fuel pressure and subsequent engine failure. This can cause the plane to quickly lose altitude and plunge into the sea. The F-35B is a joint program between the United States and several international partners, including the United Kingdom, and is touted as the future of air combat. It boasts advanced stealth, advanced sensors and a wide range of weapon systems. However, the program was beset by technical problems and delays, and the high cost of the aircraft was a source of controversy. Disclosure that a fuel system malfunction may have caused the crash would likely add to concerns about the reliability of the F-35B and could lead to increased program oversight. The investigation into the crash is ongoing and officials have yet to comment on new information. Still, the tragedy is a stark reminder of the risks inherent in military aviation and the importance of ensuring the safety and reliability of advanced aircraft like the F-35B. As the investigation continues, questions will inevitably arise about the role of the jet fuel system in the crash and what can be done to prevent similar incidents in the future. On November 17, a British-flagged F-35 Joint Strike Fighter jet crashed shortly after burying its wings during routine flight operations from the British-flagged aircraft carrier, HMS Queen Elizabeth. Now, leaked footage of the mission shows the plane not even leaving the deck before plunging straight into the water below. As you can see in the footage, the F-35 is approaching the ramp at end of the carrier's flight deck when it seems to decelerate at the worst possible time. As it reaches the top of the ramp, it seems to have lost nearly all forward momentum, and the pilot ejects before the fighter tips nose first into the Pacific. This leaked footage, apparently captured by a smartphone recording a playback of the carrier's own closed-circuit camera, seems to substantiate unconfirmed reports that the incident was caused by an inlet or intake cover that wasn't removed during pre-flight checks. It's important to note that while this footage appears to be real and does seem to corroborate those reports, neither the footage nor the intake cover claim have been verified by the Royal Navy at the time of publishing this story. The pilot escaped without serious injuries, but the loss of one of just 24 British F-35s in service marks a significant loss for the Royal Navy amid British discussion of reducing further F-35 orders due to concerns about the jet's high operating costs. According to an analysis from the Department of Government Oversight, the F-35B that was lost, which is the short takeoff, vertical landing variant of the stealth fighter, is the most expensive of the F-35 family, with a sticker price of just shy of $134 million per airframe. How a cheap inlet cover could cause a $134 million F-35 crash. According to a report in The Sun, an anonymous source with inside knowledge of the incident said they knew, almost right away, that something was wrong as the F-35 approached the ramp. The same source went on to blame the crash of the F-35 on human oversight. While as yet unconfirmed, this recounting of events would explain why no other F-35s were grounded as the investigation into this incident began. If it was not clear from the onset that the crash was caused by human error, it stands to reason the F-35 flight operations aboard the HMS Queen Elizabeth, and potentially even worldwide, would have been put on hold. Neither of which occurred, and flight operations were said to recommence aboard the British carrier shortly after the incident. F-35s, like practically all military aircraft, use inlet and engine covers as well as safety pins throughout to protect engines and other sensitive components from debris and the weather when in not operation. Safety pins are always put in place for a myriad of reasons, all of which are usually marked with a red tag that says, "Remove before flight." On the flight line for Marine Corps jets, it's called red gear. It's all very easily visible, and it seems like it would be impossible for one to get sucked in because it's not just a blanket, it's like a big foam pillow that slides in and blocks the intake, explained Marine veteran and Sandbox news editor, Tory Rich. Rich served as a maintainer on the F-35B's British jump jet predecessor, the McDonnell Douglas AV-8B Harrier II. Pre-flight operations for such an aircraft include removing all of these covers and pins, and importantly, also include a series of checks to ensure they've all been removed. Ultimately, the pilot of the aircraft conducts a walk-around of the jet to check each of these things for him or herself before climbing aboard for any flight. The part that is mind-blowing to me is red gear getting sucked in, especially during a flight. I feel like I've heard of an intake cover getting sucked in during low power or high power, but never during a flight, Rich recounted. FOD is the bane of a maintainer's existence. Policing for it is instilled in you like weapons safety rules on the rifle range. It's that same level of paranoia of screwing up and discipline. If a rain cover or similar had been left over one of the intakes on the F-35, it could certainly explain the crash. Had the cover been sucked in, it could have caused serious internal damage to the engine, preventing the single-engine fighter from producing enough thrust for takeoff. Likewise, damage to its large lift fan, housed within the fuselage, would also prevent the short takeoff F-35B from gaining the altitude it needs. The problems may extend beyond the loss of one F-35. Unfortunately, the Royal Navy's woes may not end with the loss of a single F-35, and in fact, efforts are currently underway to minimize potential damage to the F-35 program at large as a result of this crash. The other lasting concern among the speculative online masses is the potential for Russian submarines to locate and capture the sunken airframe for the purposes of reverse engineering and tactical analysis. While no nation has stated such a concern, it's almost certain that a recovery effort is underway, with the US taking the lead, as the British Navy lacks the equipment for such an endeavor. Could Russia be attempting to do the same? It's hard to say, and to be clear, it's not even certain Russia would have the means to do so even if they were perfectly positioned for it. But it is, nonetheless, a clear possibility.